What then, I mean, bluntly, first off, is SSNIT sustainable or not? Just give me your blunt thoughts before I...
As we speak now, it doesn't look well. I mean, it's not sustainable.
On a scale of 1 to 10, from where you sit, what you know,
I would say...
How sustainable is it?
I would say 3.
3 out of 10?
Yes, in a sense that when you have a pension structure where your contributions are not forthcoming, and then your operation cost is going up, and then, pensions that you're supposed to pay are still going up, then to the extent where you have to feed on your, income on interest, then it becomes a problem. Let me jump in a bit on the allowances that have swelled up on payslips across the country. The secret is that when, labor is going for negotiations, normally they go at the receiving end. Since we started the single spine, you realize that negotiations, normally happens at various labor units. So UTAG will go for their negotiations, NAT will go for their negotiations. And anytime they go, government, instead of looking at a single spine structure, because a single spine structure constitutes the basics. So if government should increase maybe basics for, teachers, per the single spine structure, it has to cut across.
Right.
So government doesn't want to do that because they're looking at the cost of, increasing salaries by maybe a certain margin across all workers in the country. So what they do is that when you go for negotiations, they couch something to suit you. So possibly for, lecturers, they will say, okay, fine, you have, cost of living allowance. For other units, they will catch something to suit your specification. And as a result of that, every single negotiations, labor will go, various units will go, government tends to put up the increment on allowance without touching on the main salary that are pensionable.
Right.
So effectively, that also compromises, the pension's future. If you take, a typical pension in Ghana, where, like I mentioned earlier, government has not been employing over the years, and the private sector contribution is minimal. SSNIT did an exercise recently where they've been, encouraging the private sector to, to join the pension pool. But then, if you look at the structure, you realize that it's the government contributors that constitute the largest chunk. And as a result of that, if their, contributions are mainly on, their basic salary, which is stagnated, but then you have allowances that, tends to increase, it affects contributions.
So you're taking the allowances to the detriment of your
future. Yes,
if you don't use those allowances, let's say you are not salting away that money, and you are using it...
Then you are in trouble as an individual.
Some 10, 15, 20 years
to come. Of course. You will not take much pension. So most government workers' pensions are something not to write about. Yes.